Well, good morning, friends. It's Sunday morning. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And I hope you got your coffee, because I got my big bowl. It's a beautiful day. The bitter cold has passed us by. Whew. It was cold. Now, I feel sorry for New York and Maine because they've got some record below temperatures out there. Oh my goodness. The best thing to do in that brutal cold is just stay in and make a pot of chili and watch some movies. Nothing else. Don't go outside. No reason to. Our chickens made it through that cold snap okay. They did pretty good. And I want to tell you, oh my gosh, we've got so much to talk about. Grab your coffee or your tea if you got time, or like a few of my lady friends on there say, I just clean my house and listen to you. Well, putz through your house, whatever. We're just going to chat. And before I get started, I want to thank all my new subscribers. Oh my gosh, friends. Oh my goodness. I'm just absolutely blown away. And I know some people think, 50,000 or close to 50,000 isn't much. And I do have a small channel. But oh my goodness, I don't do it for that. I started this channel years ago for friends of mine who wanted to learn how to can. And there's no way I could accommodate people in my kitchen to teach them how to can, And I said, I got a perfect idea. I'll just start a YouTube channel. And I wasn't worried about gaining subscribers. I was just doing it to do videos to show my friends how to can and how to do other goodies. And, so what started out to be just a handful of friends has erupted into like almost 50,000. And I can't tell you enough how absolutely grateful and thankful and blessed I am. I share, a lot of my experience. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I know everything, because no, I don't. But friends, you can take this to the bank that I've lived on both sides of the tracks. I have had to make dinner out of nothing. And then I've had the opportunity to stand in my humongous pantry and say, gee, I don't know what I want to make. I got so much to choose from. I've been on both sides of the tracks. I raised my kids with nothing. And I had to be very crafty for everything I did. So I just share a lot of that. And I had no idea how much something like that, my experience would help our younger generation. Even some of the ladies that are the same age as me and older are like, well, I never heard of that. I absolutely love it. You have no idea. And all my new friends on here, I don't like to call you subscribers or viewers. You are my new friends. And welcome to my channel. And I hope you enjoy it. If you have any suggestions, anything you want, if I know how to make it, we'll make it. And I'm not too proud to say, if I don't know how to do it or I never made it, we'll give it a whirl, but we don't know how it'll turn out, But I do a lot of stuff. And I'm going to take you along with my greenhouse and my garden, and that's going to be in a month, and I'm so excited. We're packing the freezer. We're going to be planting the seeds that I got, starting in the greenhouse. I'll take you along with my market stand. I will show anybody who wants to know how they can make money right out of their homestead how to do it. How I do it, not how to do it. How I do it. And I do pretty good by myself. I mean, with this, because my husband's got that winter off and he's loving it, friends. But he works for Ron Brown and Sons I think they go to work the middle of April. They go back to work after the frost laws are raised. And then they work clear to November. So he's busy all summer long, and he works long hours, and he absolutely loves it. My husband is only, let's see, I am I'll be I'll be 57 in May. So I'm 56. He turned 61. And so he's not even retired yet. And I know a lot of people asked if my husband was retired. No, he just came in off the road. He's not going to drive over the road anymore. And I shouldn't really say that because, you know, if it meant keeping the wolves away from the door, yes, we would. But we're in a position in life now that we've worked so hard to get to that we are debt free. Our house is paid for. We have no car payments. We have no credit card payments. Nothing like that. Now we have a couple little credit cards that we use to keep our credit going, and we just use them for gas and little things. And you know, we never pay interest on them because we have them paid in the month. So we do that. But we're in a position where we can be here and earn a decent living for ourselves. We live very simple anyway. We always have. I think that's why we was able to pay our house so fast. We bought this house, I think, in 2012, and we had it paid for in 2019. And we bought it on land contract, and so we had very, very minimal interest, but we made double and triple payments because we both knew we don't want to be paying for a house when we're retired. We want to enjoy a little bit of life, you know. So we worked very hard to pay this house off. So in 2019 we paid it off. Here it is 2023, and this year we're going to, you know, everything was put on hold anyway because my mom was diagnosed with cancer. Those of you who are new, I just lost my mother in May from cancer, and we battled it for 5 years. She was not quite 5 years, probably 4.5 years, and she lost her battle. And she was just a sweetheart. She was my best friend. So many of you have told me in the comments that you've lost your significant other, or, you know, you've lost a loved one. I can relate. I can absolutely relate. And I'm so sorry for anybody who loses a loved one. It's very hard. This year has been very hard for me. But anyway, here I go. Those of you who are new, you'll get to know me. My older friends on here, you already know I talk and I go off on a tangent. I just yak. I'm just who I am. I have a ball. What was I going to say? Chickens. Oh, yeah, the chickens. My chickens are a bunch of freeloading chickens. And I was mad at them. I mean, I even threatened them with chicken and dumplings, you know, and I told my husband, if they don't start laying, I'm getting rid of them because I'm not feeding a dead horse, you know. I need those eggs. That's what I got my chickens for. I got my girls because I don't let them run loose because I live in the village, so they can't just free range and, you know, any of that, be my little compost workers or anything like that. I have to keep them in a run. So you know what I do? I wheel my compost. When I do my wheelbarrows, I'll wheel it in there, and they'll work it up and poo in it and pick the bugs out of it, and then I rake it back up in a couple days and put it back out in my pile. It works pretty good. But they weren't laying. They stopped laying in September, and I thought, okay, well, I'm used to this because they're molting. You know, they do that, and it can last a couple months. Well, here it is, February, and they're still not laying. A molt don't last that long. I don't care who you are. A molt does not last that long. Well, I was buying their feed, and I was buying between the Do More feed and the Producer's Pride from Tractor Supply. And I got wind here a couple weeks ago, maybe about 3 weeks ago, not even a couple weeks ago, that there was so many people that were having trouble with those two brands of feed that some of them were even saying they don't have enough minerals in them to help your chickens to produce eggs. So they become freeloaders. Well, I talked to my husband. We used to get our feed from our Amish gentleman down the road. Well, he closed up his feed shop clear back in October, November. So my chickens were well into their molt when he closed up shop. And I thought, oh, no big deal. That's all right. I like his feed because it was wonderful feed. But we can just run up to Tractor Supply or, Family Farm and Home there in Manistee and grab some feed. Well, we never thought nothing of it. And I just kept telling him, I don't know why these chickens aren't laying. They should have started laying by now, even in the wintertime. Now, they don't lay as much, but I might get a dozen a day. I mean, normally I get, when the chicken factory out there is going full blast, I get between 3 and 4 dozen a day. And when they're molting, I might get a dozen every couple days, So we finally talked to several other homesteaders, several other chicken owners, and they're like, oh yeah, our chickens quit laying and I changed their feed, and now, it took about a week and now they're laying again. Don't buy Tractor Supply feed. That's what they'd always say to me. So we switched our feed. We're getting it now. It comes out of Stanwood, from an Amish feed mill down in Stanwood. And we've only been giving it to them for about a week because my husband said, I'm not throwing that feed away. He said, they're going to eat it till it's done. I'm not mixing it with the good stuff. He said, we can do it and wait another week and we'll give them their good feed. So now they're into like day 3 of their new feed and their new scratch. And most people are saying once you switch up their feed, plus I've been giving them beans and rice. I've been cooking them beans and rice because those are the 2 minerals that they need to help produce eggs. So we're figuring within the next couple weeks, our chickens should start laying a few eggs here and there and then get back on track. Oh, that was just a nightmare. So most of the winter, I fed them since September with no eggs. I've had to buy eggs. I have relied on where are they? They're up there somewhere. My freeze-dried eggs. I freeze-dried 6 dozen eggs for just, in case of an emergency in the winter. Well, I guess this constitutes because my chickens quit laying, So I've been using my powdered eggs that I freeze-dried. And I'll tell you what, it's been a lifesaver. Now, I've had to buy a few dozen eggs, but I do buy the other farm fresh eggs, and it's only costed me about $4 a dozen, which is okay. I sell mine for $3 a dozen. And I'm still not going to change this year. My chicken eggs will always be $3 a dozen, unless my feed gets so expensive that, it warrants raising it. I just want everybody to be able to afford fresh farm eggs and some fresh baked bread and all my little goodies that I sell in my market stand. And some I give away, And I can do that. It's mine. So I love it. Anyway, oh my goodness, I'm just a yakking. A lot of people have asked me about my pantry too. How come it's so bright in here? Well, when I'm in here, you'll see this one's still covered. I never took it off. I keep tinfoil on my windows. And I didn't take that one off because the light coming in this window is so bright. And this window, that one makes really a bad reflection in my camera. So I switched it up and I put my tinfoil on this window. And then I just put a big hunk of cardboard over my window on this side. So I just remove the cardboard when I'm doing a chit chat, so it's nice and bright in here. Plus I got a bright light. But otherwise, this room is almost pitch dark. It gets a little light because I don't have a door on it, so it does get light from the kitchen. But not a whole lot. So, no, I haven't had any problems with any of my jars because it's not always lit up like this. This isn't all the time. And a gal asked me about my freeze dryer in here. that doesn't it warm up this room to the point where I'm not worried about my jars in the heat of this room. Friends, I live in Michigan. Northern Michigan, northern lower Michigan, right along, I'm about 20 miles in from Lake Michigan. And it's never hot. I mean, maybe a week during the summertime, it might reach 90 degrees. And we're all inside because who can take that up here? You know, we got thick skin. And in the wintertime, it gets brutal cold up here. This room, most generally, never gets above 70 degrees. It's usually 65, 70 all year around. It's just where I live that I'm lucky about that, you know. But last summer, we had a bout of just ungodly heat. I think we were 95, 98. We almost hit 100. We may have in some areas. And it was hot. And I was in my kitchen and I heard a ping. You know, you hear that ping and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to go find that. One of my jars flipped their lid. So I come in here and it was just hot through this whole house. I have my air conditionings out there, but it didn't make it into this room. And this room was sweltering. So I opened up this window and I put an air conditioner in here. And I only had to run it for about a week. I got it back down to 60, 65, 70, in between there. And everything was fine. But yes, it did flip one of the lids on my jars. And I just put it in the refrigerator because it had just happened. Thank goodness I heard it. Because I don't know if any of you have a pantry with home canned goods. Sometimes, if you've ever had, and it's happened to me maybe 2 or 3 times since I've lived here, one of my lids will flip, will break the seal. And it's usually in tomatoes. And let me tell you, that stink is ungodly. When you don't notice it, and you come in here one day and you smell that, and it's like, oh my God, that stinks and I gotta find it, you know. And usually it's a jar of tomatoes in the very back of the shelf. But otherwise, no. When I run my freeze dryer, right here is my beautiful freeze dryer. That's the gem of my pantry. I love the thing. I open that window about 2 inches because my big oilless pump is right under this table. It sits right under it. So when I open that, I also have got a fan. And the fan blows, towards that pump to keep everything cool. It doesn't heat this room up. That heat, that with that window open, that and the freeze dryer so close to the window, with the fan running, that heat goes out. So no, it doesn't. I'm lucky. It doesn't heat my room up. And that is really the reason why that is situated right where it is, right next to the window. In the summertime, the window's always open about 4 or 5 inches. And it keeps wind or air flowing through here. But I love that thing. My husband isn't home today. It's Sunday, and he is up at the house. He's sanding a few spots that we filled in on the wall, the little nail holes and stuff. We've got 3 rooms left to do, and he's up there sanding where he filled in. I can't take that sanding. Oh my goodness. I thought I was going to choke to death the other day when I come home. Because he sanded the 3 big rooms, and I was up there in the midst of that, and I've got allergies so bad, and oh my goodness, that just kicked my behind. And it took me about 4 days to get past that. So I stay out of there. I paint. And then when we get done painting those 3 rooms, then we're going to go get our stove and our fridge for up there. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to buy new appliances for the house up there. I've got my fridge, my spare fridge here. That's a very nice refrigerator. And I usually use it in my market stand in the summertime. It's a big refrigerator. And then I've got my stove that's only about maybe 7 years old. I think I got that stove the year before I started my YouTube channel. And I'll tell you the story about that. That was hilarious. Anyway, I'm going to buy a new stove and we're going to convert. We've got natural gas here. So we're going to get, it's electric right now, and we're going to get a natural gas one. So I'm going to have a natural gas stove, which my kids have natural gas or propane. They've got propane. And I'm used to cooking on either or, so it's going to be fine for me to make that switch. But I'm going to get a propane stove, and I'm going to get a smaller new fridge for my market stand, one that's, not so big. And then I'm going to take those appliances and put them up at the other house. So, and they're in very good shape. I always take good care of my stuff. I keep everything I have as clean as a pin, I love it. You gotta take good care of your stuff so it lasts. My mother wanted to start learning how to can about 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Yeah, somewhere in there. It was a couple years before she was diagnosed with her cancer. Anyway, I had this old beat up stove, but you know what? It worked just fine. It was an electric stove. And I was showing her, we were water bathing tomatoes. We were making her salsa is what we were making. And she had her apron on and she was all excited. And I put my canner on the stove, filled it with the jars, showed her how to do all that, and filled it with water. They had to be above the canner, right? Once it got going, it was just a boiling away. And all of a sudden, my mom was standing in front of the stove, and the spark flew. It arced, and it burned a hole right through the bottom of that water bath canner. But the spark flew out, and my mother about had a stroke. And my husband come out from the living room because she started screaming. He come running out, and she says, it's going to start a fire, and she just freaking right out. And my husband gets the canner and puts it into the sink because water was everywhere. And I mean everywhere. And he put it in the sink, and he, everything was already turned off because I had turned it off. And he says, oh, all you need is a new burner. He says, I'll just go up to the hardware and get you another burner. And my mom's looking at him. Her exact words, my mother never swore. My mother was wonderful. But, friends, her exact words coming out of my mother, I about hit the floor. She looked at him and she put her hands on her hips and she said, now, if you think I'm going to learn how to can on that piece of shit, she says, you got another thing coming. She said, here's my checkbook. You go buy me a stove that I can use. And so my mother bought that stove. And it was hilarious. And then, the next day we resumed canning. But she was a hoot. And she never had a foul word to say, And when she said that, it's like, oh yeah, she's not going to use that stove no more. It's not going to happen. She was so sweet. I miss her so much. And I was so happy when she was able enough. Now, she passed away in May. And I think it was in February that she did a video with me with her homemade potato soup. And I'll link a card up here because my mother was a sweetheart. And those of you who are new, you'll get a chance to see how we did that video. And she was so good. She wanted so badly to thank everybody for their prayers and their support and all that she actually mustered up enough of her energy to help me make that video. And it's just precious. I've got it downloaded. I've got it saved to a little flash drive, so we'll always have it. Always. So I'll put a card up here so you can go and see it. And please, do me a favor and watch it. But with what else is going on? I told you about the house. The greenhouse. Oh, it's February, friends. That means next month it's time to kick off the planting season. and no, we can't plant anything here until June. But I've got my greenhouse. I've got a beautiful greenhouse, and you'll see it this time. I've always had a little high tunnel, and it wasn't really a greenhouse, but I used it as a greenhouse, and it worked very well for that, But this last fall, my husband and I finally finished the greenhouse. We built a wood base, and then we did our greenhouse out of cattle panels. So our greenhouse is 10 by 20, and it's all cattle panel. And we ordered the 6 mil greenhouse plastic. So we've got doors on each end of it. Now we don't have any windows in it because we've got doors on each end. But this year, this fall, I would have loved to have been able to grow something through the winter in there to see how it would work. But that's not going to happen. It didn't happen this year. But in March, actually this month, we're still pondering. We're going to heat it. We got to heat it anyway because it gets so brittle cold up here. Even in March, it could get, we could get a blizzard in April. We're pondering whether we want to do a ventless, like wall propane heater, and just mount it on a frame. Or, and of course with that, we'd have to get at least a 120-pound cylinder. We'd have to get a nice big cylinder so we don't run out of propane. But friends, propane is ungodly expensive right now. And we're trying to figure out if we want to do that or if we want to just invest in a pellet stove and just use that every year. And that pellet stove we could probably use through the winter, and we don't have to worry about it running out of heat because you can fill that pellet stove in the evening and it'll run all the way into the next day. And so we can constantly keep it flowing. We don't have to worry about in the middle of the night going to checking it, making sure that, there's fuel or whatever. So we're still pondering that. And we're pretty much leaning towards a small pellet stove because we don't need a very big one. We only got 10 by 20, area to heat. So we probably will wind up with a pellet stove. And that'll be nice. I think it's still a lot cheaper than propane. We just filled up the tank. We have natural gas here. I got to tell you this first. Our bill for our natural gas to heat this house has never exceeded $200 in a month. Okay? Never. Ever. And we keep it between 68 and 70 in here during the wintertime. So my mother always had a pellet stove. Well, we have to now rely on the propane because you can't be up there every day to take care of the pellet stove. So we filled the tank in January, and it was $524 well, 200 gallons, I should say. It filled it to about 75%. We just got the minimum. I don't remember how propane works, I just think natural gas, oh my God, 200 or 500 some dollars, that'll run us clear to April. Oh, wrong, sister. No, it doesn't. That only lasts you, if you're lucky, 30 days. $524 worth of propane for 1 month. It wasn't even a month. I about flipped over. Well, my husband said, oh my God, just fill it. Well, this time we filled it. It's the fourth. I think we put propane in there into the beginning of the second week of January. Was that 75%? And mind you, we were keeping it, only like 62 degrees just to keep the paint, drying because we're painting in there. Otherwise, it would have been at 52. But once we started painting, we needed to raise it up to like 62 degrees. So we just had to fill it 2 days ago. $647 to bring it up from about 8% to 80%. It's a 330 gallon tank, and those are only designed for about 30 days. Who can afford propane? Oh my goodness, no wonder people are free. I don't know. We're not by any means poor, and that hurts. That still hurt our wallet. $1,100 in 2 months. We wouldn't spend that. I don't even think we spend that all winter. I don't know. I don't know why. I have no idea why propane is so expensive and natural gas is so much cheaper. I have no idea, but praise the Lord and thank you, Jesus, that we got natural gas. Because, well, I'll tell you what, we would have invested in an outdoor furnace or a pellet stove. You can't afford that. You just can't. I don't know how anybody can afford that. I about flipped over. I don't know. Now, we probably won't sell the house for, it might sit for a couple months. I mean, come April, we probably won't have to heat it so much because it won't be freezing, but we still got March and part of April, so we're going to have another $600, $700 worth of fuel for up there. And for 3 months, that's nuts. Nuts. Friends, we should invest in propane. We should invest in the stock of propane. I don't know. It's crazy. It will hurt your wallet really quick. But with that, the house will be done. And yes, we are going to sell it. We're going to put I'm getting a new stove and I'm getting a new fridge for the market stand. I just told you that because I told you the story about my mom. My son just went and bought a new washer and dryer too. And he calls me and he says, Mom, I got to go get a new washer and dryer. My dryer just quit on me. And I says, well, you got enough money to go get it, right? And he says, oh yeah, I'm fine. I just don't know exactly. I think I'm going to go to ABC Warehouse and get it. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? I've got a Home Depot credit card for those reasons. And my kids are very, very responsible. And he says, well, I said, why don't you go to Home Depot? You've got the credit card. You can pay it off within 6 months. And it won't be such a big chunk out of your wallet right now. And he says, I would love that, Mom. So he called me up. He said, I think he went 100 miles an hour to get there. I don't know. He called me up. It seemed like it was in no time. He called me back and said, oh, I'm on my way home. He says, I did real good, Mom. He said, I got a scratch and dent model. He said, there was a dent on the side of it. He said, they knocked $175 off of it. I got it for $300. I said, that's fabulous. That's fabulous, And he said, and the washer, he says, I got that. He says, I don't remember what he said. He said, but I got both of them for under $1,000. Well, I just paid $747 for my wash machine not even 2 years ago. And I had just gotten a dryer, the one I had bought for my mom when she was in hospice. I put a dryer up there because she always dried her clothes on the line. That was $550, almost, close to $600 out the door. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you did really good. He did fantastic. Nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. My stove has a dent in the side because my husband did the same thing. He's like, well, this is one. Why can't how much will you give me this one for with the dent in the side? I'm so notorious for negotiating like that. How much will you buy me or will you sell me the display model for? So to save $175, if there's a little dent in my dryer, if it doesn't hurt the performance of my dryer, who cares? Who cares if I got a dent in it or if there's a scratch on it? It saved me some money. I'll tell you a story, too. You're going to laugh at me because Tracy just about fell on the floor. I went up to our local hardware. I knew all the gentlemen there. They've sold it since then. But I went up there, this was a couple years ago, and I was looking to get a shop vac. I needed a shop vac. I had my little upright one, but I needed a shop vac. And I thought, well, I'll go up there. Well, they had them, 8-gallon one, 10-gallon one, something like that, for $100. Well, they weren't cheap. It was, in the heat of the pandemic. Nothing was cheap. So I thought, well, I'll grab this one for $100 because I got to have it. And who knows how long this is going to last. It might go up, it might be $120 tomorrow. So I grabbed the one that they had up there. They had several of them. But I grabbed one, and they had 3 or 4 of the model that I grabbed. Well, I brought it home, and Tracy and I were putting it together. And when I pulled it out of the box, I noticed we got everything, put together on it and looking good. And I noticed there was a big dent on the side of it. And I thought, well, I looked at Tracy and I said, well, that warrants a little bit of a discount, wouldn't you think? And she says, well, I think so. So I called my fella up there and I said, hey, I just got that vacuum from you. I said, and can I bring it back and trade it for another one or get a discount on it? I said, because it really does have quite a nice sized dent in the side of it, right? And he said, yeah, you could. And he said, is it working? Does it work? Does it run? I said, yeah, it runs. I said, but I don't want to pay $100 for a full price for a dented up model. I said, you want to give me a little bit of a discount? And he says, well, hang on a minute, right? So he had me on hold for a couple of minutes. He comes back and he says, well, why don't you just come up and get your money back? As long as it's working, just keep it. I don't want to mess with the paperwork to return it, right? And I had him on speaker, and Tracy's sitting there, and she's like, damn! She says, I want to shop with you, crazy. How do you do it? It's funny. So I always find good deals. But Tracy's, when are you going shopping? I'm going with you. And we have so much fun. So I got I think it's a 10-gallon one, 8-gallon or 10-gallon. I got my shop vac free because of the dent in the side. And I didn't complain. I just said, can I come up and switch it for a different one? I had no problem with that. It's not that I didn't want to pay for it, but I didn't want to pay full price for a dented up model. So he had a choice of either giving me a discount or just letting me come up and, swap them out. He said, I ain't messing with that paperwork. Is it working? Are you happy with it working? Could you live with that dent? Because if you can just have it and come get your money back. So me and Tracy ran right up there. She says, now we can go shopping, huh? Let's go shopping. I said, no, we're done. You only get one deal a day, sister. My friend Tracy is a riot. And I know she's a little camera shy, but off camera, her and my husband, my goodness, your guts would hurt. You'd laugh so hard. Between her and my husband, them two are a riot. My house is never boring. And my husband is he's very camera shy. You turn that camera off and he don't shut up. He's got all kinds of advice and all kinds of things to say, but when that camera turns on, he mum's the word. He don't want to say, he'll say, hi friends, and he'll run and hide, It's hilarious. I don't think he'll ever change. I don't know if he'll ever get comfortable, and I don't push him to do it. When you see him and he says, hi friends, sometimes I'll say, hey, come and say goodbye, but most of the time it's because he just does it, He's a sweetheart. I really got a good husband. Somebody said to me one day on a comment, oh, he just is an ornery old man and he's so rude to you. Well, how did they come to that conclusion? My husband is not ornery in the least bit. And when he does get ornery, like we all do, I just go do something else, feed him some cake or something. But he's not rude to me. My husband he's never raised his voice to me, never raised a hand to me. Well, if he did, he wouldn't be living. He'd be pushing up daisies because that isn't going to happen. But never. We're just best friends. And we even drove that semi together for, oh my goodness, 12, 13 years. We were together in a semi. Both of us drove 24/7. We owned our semis and we kept them rolling. We kept it rolling. We only owned one at a time. But that semi kept rolling because you don't make money when those wheels aren't turning. And that, friends, is how we made enough money to pay this house. And how many years? 12, 13, 7 years. We had a 10 to a 12-year contract. I don't remember if it was 10 or 12 years. But we paid for it in 7 years. And we paid for it by driving all over the U.S. of A. 24/7. That truck was down maybe 2 hours a day. Unless we were sitting in a dock. So, he's never been mean to me. So, a lot of times you'll see he's just got, I don't know what it is. Sometimes he looks like he's ornery than hell, but he's not. He's not. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He'll do anything for you. I was so frustrated yesterday because my camera, if you've noticed my videos, and the one that you've seen, you'll see this video Tuesday. So the one you seen yesterday where the light goes bright and dim and bright and dim and bright and dim, I was ready to throw my camera right out the flipping window. I said, I give up. I can't make videos like that. I can't do this no more. This is just so frustrating. I can't even concentrate because that stupid light, And he's like, well, calm down, honey. I'll fix it. So he gets out here and I got one light on a stand, and he turns it on and we got the camera going. And, we're just recording just to see how the light's going to work and how everything's going to be going. And we think we got it. But he did order box lighting for me. And they're on stands. He's got 3 or 4 of them. And he says, I can hang them in the kitchen. I can just hang them up from the ceiling to where it's always going to be the exact same lighting for you. But we're looking at this. We filmed it. We checked out the lighting. We moved around. We even covered up the stove light, took it off. It is the stove light that has been doing this. It is the stove light. And then my stove is so bright white, that bright LED light from my stove hood just ricochets light everywhere. And it makes my camera just go nuts. That's what it is. Because if you notice, every time I move my head in that, and that light peeks around me, that camera goes light or dark, And then when I move to the corner of the kitchen, it's dark. So hopefully, once that comes in, those will be in on the 8th. And then we're going to play with it for a little bit. And hopefully, things will be much different. I don't normally cover up my kitchen window, but I did with tinfoil this time. And I'm just leaving it like that because I film every single day. You might not see a video every single day, but I'm always filming every single day. Sometimes one video takes me 2 days to do, But so I'm going to leave it up there. But anyway, we're recording it. I'm like, let's go. And then we'd run out to the computer and I'd plug it in and download it and we'd press it. The only thing my husband would say is, oh my God, we're getting old. I said, no, we're not. Don't say that. We're still young. At least I think I am. It's too cute. And but we think we got it. We think we got different lighting. So right now, it will still go dim and dark, but nowhere's near what it was doing before. And it'll be even better once we get that box lighting put through. And it was quite affordable. I mean, it was $80, but $80 is well worth, my sanity to try and film, because I can't do that with this camera. I've dropped this camera twice. And this camera this is a Lumix. And my camera that I use is a Lumix G100. And it was beautiful until I dropped it. I don't know what I did to it, but I'm sure The lighting isn't helping, you know, my stove light, my dark stove. Well, when I get my new stove, it'll be the cast iron top because it'll be the natural gas stove. So it probably won't reflect so much. But until then, bear with me. We're working on it. I think the last time I dropped my camera, it fell right off my counter when I was working. I have it sitting on, I usually prop it up on my bins, one of my bins. And I don't know what I did, but I must have just shook the table, but it went right over backwards, right onto the floor. Didn't dent nothing, didn't seem to hurt nothing, but I just think that it's, I got my butterfingers, aren't doing good. I need a camera that Velcros to something. So I didn't want to buy another camera. And he said, let's start with the lighting. He said, let's start with the lighting and see what that does. He says, you may have damaged your camera dropping it, you know, those 2 times. He said, but at least if we start with the lighting, it's a lot cheaper than buying a new camera and having the same problem with lighting. So that's where we're starting. It seems to be looking, I mean, I can see it. I got a flip around screen so I can see myself and I can see the light around me. So, and it seems to be, I haven't noticed it go dark, but I won't notice that really until I edit it. So anyway, I probably have yacked your ear off enough, friends. You already know we got we didn't buy a new truck. We bought a 1-ton and to pull our trailer and stuff. And we made a deal. I told you that already. We made a deal with my granddaughter's dad. Bless his heart. He's always been good to us. He's the one that lives right next door. And my grandkids got a trail. They got a path that goes from our house to his. There's really not much more I can yak with you about. I think I've updated you on everything, told you some stories. We just had a good time. I'm almost done with my bowl of coffee, so the next thing we got to do this afternoon, I'm going to start working on the chicken burritos. Yes, and I got pinto beans down there. Oh, I still got a can of refried beans too. We're going to use that up, and then we're going to make some with pinto beans, with the canned pinto beans. So we're going to do that, and hopefully we'll have enough time to get to making like a banana cake. I really don't want to make another cake right yet because I still got cake in the freezer, and I don't want to, fill my freezer with cake. But the next cake that I do make will be a banana cake because it was requested. And a lot of people are requesting, and I don't want you to think I'm being mean. They asked me, well, how did you make your shake and bake? I just put a link to the video that gives you, step-by-step instructions. And people like my aprons. Let me tell you, I'll always give you the link. If you ask me what apron I got on or whatever, or what I'm using, I always give you the link. But those of you who are new to my channel, if you go in the description box underneath my video, you got to go, because I always list my recipes first. And then my cookbooks are there too. And you go just beyond that and you'll see links to all the things that I use. My aprons, my containers, my silicone bags, anything, my big daddy bowls, my big cast iron skillets, anything that I use. You'll see those links down in there. And they're good. You can click on them. And I did change the link to the silicone bags, and I told you that yesterday. I changed the link so it takes you to the ones that are dishwasher safe. So my cookbook's not quite done yet. I added a bread. It's going to take a little bit more because I added a bread section. I thought, you know what? I need to put that in there. And somebody asked me about making bread. I've made just about I've been baking bread since I was 20. And I think I've made just about any bread you could make. I've always made my homemade bread, my rolls, my cinnamon rolls, my cakes, and yes, my husband goes and buys potato bread. He likes really, really soft bread. He don't like real dense bread. And I like heavy bread, But yes, I often make him that. But he's partial to that. He loves that potato bread. I said, one of these days I'm going to make you some potato bread and see how you like it, So anyway, I'm going to go. You guys, it was lovely chatting with you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for growing my channel, for sharing my videos, for subscribing, for liking, for being a part of my community and my channel. I appreciate and I love every one of you for that. It has just blessed me. Thanks for hanging out and chatting with me. And I will see you in the next video.